Okay, so now it is January 16th, 2022. As you can see, I brought the pears in yesterday. So they've been sitting on my counter here now for, I don't know, long enough. 8 o'clock in the morning, Sunday. I gotta clear this all off. Start washing my jars. I'm going to just keep them in half-pint size for amari. I'm just basically going to make a pear sauce with them. They're feeling pretty good, considering all things said. Remember, they were frozen. So, for what? A week on my porch, I found them frozen. They were kind of green, but since they've been out in the on the counter since yesterday afternoon, towards the evening, they're starting to ripen up, but they're still very firm, like extremely firm. So I don't even know if they're ready to can, honestly, people. Right? Okay. I would prefer them just a little bit softer because then they would be sweeter. And being that they're yellowing up tells me that they're ripening even though they were frozen. But you see, they were frozen kind of unripe, right? They were still kind of green, right? I won't know until I cut into them and take a bite, right? But I'm just going to get the prep stuff ready. So, we'll see. Hold on. Okay, so before I do this, like I said, I'm going to see if maybe, I'm just prepping. I'm getting everything ready. Wash some jars. Some of my other jars are coming back to me. That's the thing about jars. You use them, you eat what's inside, and you get your jars back, right? So, in the meantime, I'm in this pumpkin that was grown in my yard, people. Okay. So this is strictly 100% organic. But what's unique about this pumpkin is I didn't grow it this year. I grew it, I didn't grow it this last summer in 2021. I grew it in the summer of 2020. So in other words, this pumpkin is a year and a half old. Been kicking around my house in the kitchen for that length of time, and then I moved it, and it started going a little bit on the bottom, but these seeds are so plump, like you can't imagine how plump they are in terms of being robust, right? They're not spoiled. There's no smell. Like, this is amazing. I didn't know that a squash, which is a pumpkin, it's like a squash, right, could stay as viable as it has for a year and a half. Now, mind you, these things, they're particular. Squashes, I've had squashes on my counter for a year that's grown in my garden and were perfectly fine, unopened, right? And where other ones, sometimes they don't make it, depending on where you put them, right? I find that they like just open air. Like, you don't really want to put them in a very dark, cool place because, I don't know, I don't know. Anyway, this thing is a year and a half old, and you can see, right? So I've decided to save these. That looks like that's a root right here. I don't know where it's coming from.
Has anyone ever heard that song?
But if I was to say,
in this mocking voice of the government official,
there we go.
Look at our chart.
Look,
Unemployment's
it
going
grew,
down.
people. Can you see that? Look, it grew.
Oh, well, you're getting advertisements from Campbell's Soup saying, soup is good food.
Yeah.
Soup is good food. All right.
There's another one. You can see the little roots.
This is what really jumped out to a lot of people. This is the number of days between first immunization date.
But the majority of them know they're ready. They're ready to go.
Now you see this huge spike.
So maybe I'll put 1 or 2 or 3 in our, what is it called? our little
is it
box
does seem
there.
to start low.
I don't know if I'm going to get any
7 to 8.
pineapple trees growing from what I got there.
It's hard to
One
really
looks
see
like
exactly what
maybe,
it is.
the other two no,
But it
but
does
they
look
were
like
at,
it's
those
kind of
pineapples were at the end of their date,
upward.
so. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this. Hold on.
Upward, to this.
Okay, so now it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Really good
You
point
can't rush your
in the
day.
chat.
So, I got a lot of good seeds in there, people. That's a lot.
Cafe owner
And then, of course, these ones were growing.
for not
So, whether I throw them in some dirt and see what happens or
Australia.
whatever, this is going to be dehydrated and then put into plant food, right? I should actually do that with some of the other pumpkin because I cut off the bottom, you can see. So I could just slice off a little of the better stuff and add it into the plant food and dehydrate it and then grind it up. Now this, the last time I did these, because I had a whole bunch and I left one behind, I ended up just steaming them, people. And because this was grown in the garden, the rind came out so soft that after I strained the water, like I steamed them, right? Because I just steamed them. So that after that, I mashed them up and stuff. I mashed it with the peel. So you even get more nutrition because you have to understand, there's no preservatives on this peel. Absolutely none. This was grown in my yard a year and a half ago. So whether I make pumpkin pie, which I don't really have time, but maybe my son might help me with that, or whether I freeze them, because the last time I did this with my pumpkins, I just prepped them and then put them in bags and froze them for a later date. You don't want to can pumpkin, okay? That's one squash you really don't want to. So don't think that you can. It's better to either dehydrate. Now I could do that. I could dehydrate this. As a matter of fact, I wanted to do that. So maybe that's what I'll do with this one. I'm going to clean it up, cut it up, dehydrate it, grind it, and then make pumpkin powder. Okay? That's a good way to store pumpkin. Or you can boil it, steam it, whatever, mash it, put it in a bag and freeze it. Okay? But don't can it. So, I don't think I'm going to do these today because these are still quite hard. They're yellowing up on the outside,
They want to call us the
but I
terrorists.
don't think they were ripe when they were out in the box, frozen, because they looked more green. So that, for me, was kind of like a bonus. And so far, it's turning out pretty good. This is potato starch from the last time I did the red potatoes. Now, I didn't can them. I dehydrated them. And anytime I dehydrate potatoes, hold on a minute. I was eating some pepperoni, sliced pepperoni that had a pepper in it. Anyway, anytime I dehydrate potatoes, when you blanch them, you're blanching off some of the starch, right? And then after you shut off your burner, whatever, let the pot settle for a few minutes. Drain out your pot, and at the bottom of the pot, you're going to have some of this. You put it in a bowl, let it settle. Starch will settle to the bottom of the bowl. And then the liquid you drain, and then you put new liquid in, stir it around, let it all settle, and so on until you get this. And then you put this on the dehydrator, or you can put it on a plate and leave it in the open air if your house is warm. And then you've got potato starch. So if you can't find cornstarch, make potato starch. Well, these potatoes were given to me at the same time.
Not that any cop should be allowed to.
Oh my lord. Hold on a minute. Okay, so remember red potatoes?
Vaccine papers.
Right? Didn't quite fill up the jar, but that's okay.
Alright, let's go to
That's the starch from what I did. Okay? So these potatoes came at the same time that pretty much the red potatoes came. And now mind you, these are store-bought. If I was to show you my potatoes from the garden, you're going to see that mine are already growing roots. Okay? Where these ones were sprayed, and I think when I got them, they had just a few, but before I put them in the box, I picked them off. Because technically you're not supposed to eat potatoes that are growing roots,
The people at the OS
or at least a lot of roots. Same thing if potatoes are green. Boy, oh boy. It's that peppercorn and that pepperoni. I don't have time to waste here, though. Now, these ones, they have a little green on the outside, and that's only because of the light, okay? It's not like it's been sitting in the sun and the potato itself has gone completely green. So I'm just telling you this, okay? So, I don't know if you can see it. Once you peel it, you're going to peel off that surface, okay? And then proceed to do whatever you're going to do with it. In this case, I'm going to process these now because I've been meaning to do them, right? Hold on a minute. Okay, so we know that whatever's going on in the economy is affecting the grocery stores, okay? I asked Tisha, what are the grocery stores like? Right? I asked her to go buy me a few things yesterday when she was out. Anyway, she agreed that the produce isn't what it used to be. Right? Obviously, the cost of food. Now, she went to Save-On, or Canadian Superstore, and butter, unsalted or salted per pound, the cheapest was $6 a pound. So that's like $2 and... That's like $3 more since the last time I went out shopping. Okay, per pound. In other words, it was $3.50 a pound. Now it's $6 a pound, okay? And that's at a major Canadian Superstore franchise. That's like a big box store, okay? So, and she said, no meat, very little meat, right? Just little thin slices of beef, that's it, right? Hardly no chicken, nothing, okay? But lots of people running around the stores. So that tells me, oh my God, that tells me that there's more of a demand than supply. And if people aren't noticing it, they will soon, especially with these truckers being fired on both sides of the border in the near future. So I don't know how readily potatoes are in the grocery store because I didn't think to ask to go buy some because I have to deal with these ones first. And in light of the fact that they're old and I don't want them to go to waste, right, I'm going to take the opportunity to get them in the dehydrator now, and hopefully I'll have that done in the next couple of hours. Hold on. Okay, so when you blanch this, because it's shredded, it's just kind of like that green stuff, right, that I just did. You don't really need to bring it to a boil, and if you do, you just boil it for like less than a minute, because it's shredded, right? Now, where you get your potato starch is from this water. Okay. Different potatoes give off different amounts of starch. Right? You can see how it's getting cloudy, that water. So as you take your stuff out, the starch settles to the bottom. When you put it in here, these potatoes, it gets all just, the water gets funny. So I don't salvage that starch. I salvage this one. Right? And being that there's no cornstarch, I guess we should be waste not, want not.
You guys have denied every invitation.
Okay, so 4 trays. This one, I don't salvage the potato starch from it. I don't even know if you can. This one I do. All the potato starch, as longer it sits, settles to the bottom. So I'll leave this like this for another 15-20 minutes. And then you drain off the water. Then you put more water in. Move it around, and you let it sit and settle. Right? And you do that a couple, 2-3 times, and then your water won't be brown like that. And then that's when you drain it, you put it on your tray, and you either air dry it, or you can put it in your dehydrator. Now, I'm still debating about these pears.
chest.
because I don't want them to go to waste.
I have clots in my lungs.
In light of them being frozen,
it started the day after my shot. A very scary
it
diagnosis,
might
but
be
I'm
a good
glad I
idea to get
got
on
it.
these things soon.
I also had
I'm chewing it.
pericarditis immediately after the shot and was on meds for that.
Technically,
That healed months ago.
it could ripen for a little longer. It's sweet enough, but what I'm finding is where these kind of spots, I peel it off, and it's like any bruise, it goes into the fruit. Wandering eye. Do you see? So in a situation like that, you don't want to leave these ones ripening up for too long, unless of course maybe you cut off that part, right? They're not all like that. Some of them can probably stand to be out for a little while. So maybe what I'll do is I just threw everything in there, right? I haven't gone through them yet. So, because technically, I mean, see, that was a big bruise, right? If I would have left it for another day, it'd be no good. It would just keep traveling. Where this, it is edible. It's just, these are Barley Pears, so they should be just a little softer.
39%.
A little more riper.
Let's read Christine's story.
Although they're not as sweet as I would like them to be.
It says,
that's why I want to ripe them. Do you know, when I first moved in, my little pear tree out in my back used to produce pears like this. And then the guy who bought that house next door turned around and killed the freaking tree, basically, people.
What's going on here?
And just chopped it in half. Last year it didn't even produce any plums. Or pears, I should say. And that thing used to do 10 bowls.
So Christine says, yes, I developed autoimmune myositis after my second.
Okay, so now I'm going to get on with boiling my 1.5-year-old pumpkin. Okay? And then after I'm done that, I'm going to, what do you call it? I'm going to dehydrate them. You don't want to dehydrate them raw. You want them cooked. I think that would be better. Right? So I'll just give them a little bit of a boil. And I will dehydrate skin and all after the fact. After there's been boiled for a bit, take them, run them under cold water, slice them, put them on your dehydrating tray, dehydrate them, and then eventually just grind them up and put them in a jar. Okay? So, I'm debating what I'm going to do with this. Before I start with the mandarin oranges, I don't want to wash them until I'm ready to use them. Only some of them are compromised. Right? Like here you can see. So take out the ones that are more compromised. These, like I said, I wouldn't mind if they just ripen for another day or so. Right? Because I can see their colors changing. They're doing what Barley Pears do. When you see how green that one was, you can kind of see it's green. Right? That's because they were all green. Right? But they were frozen when I got them. Okay, and they were frozen for almost the whole time, minus the last day and a half. And then I brought them in, and now we're at where we're at. So some of these, what I can do to keep it simple on myself, leave the nicer ones out so they can continue to ripen, and then the ones that maybe aren't so nice, I will peel them. And I'll cook them up and I'll put them in the fridge so that, yeah, you see the ones underneath, you see how green that is compared to the other ones? You can clearly see, right? This is what I'm saying. I want to ripen them up a little more. These are at the bottom. You can see it's green. Even with my blind eyesight, everything dark, 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 dark. I can see. Oh, you don't know what a difficult time I'm having here, people. telling you, as soon as I'm caught up with all this stuff, I don't know. See this one here? Now some of this is just on the outside, right? Because of it being frozen and whatnot, but it's still pretty firm. Wandering eye. So maybe I'll just cook up a few of them. Oops. That doesn't help when you do that. See here? No, you see it's hard. So even though it's on the outside, that's okay. You can peel that off. Right, but here, I could just cut that off. So anyway, hold on. Okay, so I got my little assembly line going here, you can see. And then I've got the other pears over there, which I'm going to cook up with some apples today. And then I'm going to put them in the... Actually, I'll probably... Apple with a fair amount... Apple, more apple, less pear. Just right. I'm going to can those today. These I will deal with tomorrow. My neighbor also gave me pears. It's a different kind of pear. Andre said they're not quite ripe yet. But the few that he found, he's been munching on. So anyway, I have those too, right? But these ones are specifically for cooking, okay? And I'm going to can, you can can pear straight up by itself in a can all mashed up like a sauce. And that's what I want to do for amari, basically. Or maybe I'll use a jar for cooking or something. But outside of that, that's tomorrow, outside of what I do today with the few that I took out. And I'll cook those up more with apples. So here we got, now that other ginger didn't make it, so it went into my compost, which is perfectly fine. Because it was frozen, I tried to unthaw it and whatever, and I just, you know, I'm busy with other things. So that's okay. So as it is though, I got fresh, and this is organic ginger root from Peru. So, I guess I was just meant to have more ginger root. So I don't want this to go to waste. But because it's so tiny, I don't want to peel it and have it go to waste. So all you really need to do is either just wash it. I'd break off these things. It would take a very long time to dehydrate it like that, as is. Although, if you wanted to do that, you could always shred it as you go along, skin and all. Right? Or you can break them up like this. These will dry faster. And then when you get into something a little more thicker, you can just simply cut them in half. Now, I am debating whether I should just blanch them quickly. In fresh water when the time comes, just to blanch off that surface. Who knows? It says it's organic, but it's just best to maybe take, because I don't want to peel them, right? So I could just blanch them, and then I can basically dehydrate them, because I'm not going to eat all that at one time, and I don't want it to go to waste. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do with that. Hold on. See? If you can't find starch, this is how you make it for yourself with potato starch, okay? And if your potatoes are, you know, coming near the end and you don't know what to do with them, and you're not able to eat them all, you just dehydrate them, okay? Okay, so being that I got a little bit of squash from my yard, not a lot this year, because this year's growing season, 2021, was terrible. Even my landlady said that. I may do this with a couple of squashes. I have to check on them. I've got them in the playroom right now under a chair. They probably don't like it, but I won't do it today. But you can see that pumpkin, a year and a half, people. Perfectly fine. Okay, so moving along. Oh, I think it's, I don't know. It's the 17th today of January 2020. Sorry, 2022. I don't know, people. I'm watching videos in British Columbia, Canada, going from district to district, showing empty shelves in multiple stores, Meat seems to be an issue. Obviously, we know that there was an issue with the flooding, and 12,000 pigs died, and 6,000 chickens, and over 500 and some cows, and just all the cold crops were wiped out in the Abbotsford area. And anyway, and now we've got, truckers being grounded for various reasons on both sides of the border. So, I don't know what to think here, people. I can only imagine what others are thinking about. But besides that point, so now I'm getting into, you can see I'm boiling up my jars to disinfect them. It's called sterilizing your jars if you're going to do a water bath. So I'm going to start with the mandarin oranges. I'm going to do a batch of mandarin oranges. Plus, I'm going to use the peels, and I'm going to make candy peel with them. Although, because they're very, very thin, they're not going to take very long to dehydrate compared to a navel orange, all right? But just in light of what's going on, normally I wouldn't do that, but because of what's going on, I just, this is a time to be frugal. Okay, one man's junk is another man's treasure, right? So anyway, here's that pumpkin that was 1.5 years old. Now I've got other things that I can do similar to what I did with this, and then grind them all up together and make a nice powder, which I'm probably going to do. I just wanted to show you that. So at some point that will be turned into powder. There's my orange peels. Now I do have a gallon-sized jars. I bought 2 of them. I haven't washed them yet, so I'll wash them, and I'll probably just put this in a 1-gallon jar, and any miscellaneous coming in from the mandarin oranges. I'm going to take, now this is red potato. This is a potato that was coming near the end, just like the red potatoes, right? If I would have left those red potatoes, they would have been non-salvageable, especially by this time, because they were donated, and then of course, so anyway, we got that under control. And now we've got these potatoes, which is a Yukon yellow potato or whatever, right? So I'll top off this jar, and then eventually I'm going to put in some oxen absorbers when I get downstairs, which I'm going to be getting down there this week, and sealing up jars that need to be sealed up before I completely put them away, right? So hold on a minute. Okay, so that bag topped off the jar, so it worked out perfect for me, right? Now, I am still dehydrating yogurt. I got more yogurt yesterday. I sent Tisha to the store the day before looking for yogurt to buy, and she was in a Canadian superstore, and there was no Greek yogurt. There was these kind of container yogurts, a few of them, not many, but these ones here were downstairs in Auntie Shemai's fridge, unopened. And the reason I'm showing you this is, in case you come across something like this, don't be afraid to open up the container, stir it around, stick your finger in, well, smell it. If it smells real sour, then obviously it goes in the dirt for calcium, right? Or wherever, wash it down the drain. But if it smells fine, stick your finger in there, taste it. Chances are it's going to taste like yogurt because it's been sealed in terms of its original seal and then this seal, right? Because if you look at the date on this, and this is why I'm showing you, because sometimes people have this stuff in their fridge and they look at the date and they think, oh, that was due in November. Maybe it's not good. Well, we're into January, people, and it was perfectly fine. And I'm dehydrating it right along with these ones, okay? This one was September, okay? It was perfectly fine. I'm dehydrating that one. Here's a more recent one that I just got recently. So I'm still dehydrating yogurt. I like Olympia, right? I think it's called Greek yogurt. A little better than this one, but at this point in the game, I'm happy to have what I have, okay? So if you got an old yogurt that's been unopened sitting in your fridge in the back, before you throw it out, you might want to think about opening it up and checking it, right? If it smells okay, taste it. If it tastes okay, dehydrate it, people. I'm telling you, that's the best thing to do. All right, because once it's in this state, it's going to last a long, long time. Once you put it off into a cool, dark place, cover up your jars. Treat it like a milk product, right? Like a whole milk powder or a skim milk powder. These things prefer to be in the dark, okay? If it goes rancid in the jar, when you open the jar, you'll smell it. Plus, it will turn color, right? But I think something like this is going to stay dormant for a long, long time, because after I'm done doing what I'm doing, right, I'm going to be putting oxygen absorbers in some of these for long-term storage as I go. Now, obviously I'm in the kitchen, right? The story of my life. Now, this, if you wanted to make a potato pancake of sorts, you could mix in some of this, people, as a binding agent. Let's just say you didn't have any eggs or egg powder. Because it's like a yogurt, you can reconstitute it a little bit with some water. Soak these a bit, combine them together with a bit of lard or shortening, preferably lard or even butter or whatever you use as an oil agent to combine it together to fry it. Just saying. And since we're on the subject of dehydrating, there's those little extra yams. I've got the call out for yams, asking my son to look for them, asking my sweet potatoes, asking Tisha to look for them and to pick them up and buy them for me. Or if Pastor Granny's daughter comes by, you know, I said, I you know, on my list, I need the sweet potato because I want for amari mainly. Plus, you can make other things with this kind of stuff. Those are those green vegetables that nobody wanted. Remember? Look at that. That is nice for soup. And I have another little bag about this much. So if I can eventually get a full bag by the time I'm done doing whatever I'm doing in this kitchen, people, because I got more yogurt that came in yesterday, right? And I'm going to keep doing this because I want a case or more for just to space it out, right? And I do plan on incorporating it into my foods. You could make a soup and use some of that yogurt as a creaming agent to cream your soup if you had nothing else on hand. I'm just saying. Or you could take some of this and put it in to the reconstituted yogurt and make a dip, right? Boy, oh boy, these things took all day, people, just to prep them. I'm serious, man. All day. I still have 2 bags and a little bit left over but I'm not canning no more tonight. After these are in the canner, I'm going to work on the orange peels. I'm going to slice them up a little bit thinner because I just peeled them in my thumb inside. Oh, hurts so much. Same thing with this one. Peeling. Oh, all day just to get these things. I had to scrape off, you know, that the rind, right? And it took all day just to get this part done. So tomorrow I'm gonna work on what is that called? The pears first thing in the morning, and then I'm gonna pick up with these things. Whatever, I'll do another batch of some kind. Right, I'm just dropping the liquid down right now. Get it in the canner. You do it for 10 minutes. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm doing the orange peels. Those are done for tonight. I'm telling you, people, I'm so tired. It's like 10 after midnight, 11 minutes after midnight. And what am I doing? Orange peels. Only because of what our governments are doing. And whatever they're doing, people, it's too systemic. Okay, it's like everywhere. Grocery stores are going empty. That is by design. Okay, people are going to start retaliating pretty soon. Right? You know what I'm saying? Because don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It's like we're in a fucking la-la land. So, 2 o'clock in the morning. Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Oh boy, people, you can't imagine how tired I am. Cuckoo! Okay, I'm kind of choked here, people. I'll tell you in a minute why. So anyway, I'm going to finish up this video. That's how mad I am, okay? We know I've been doing this shit hardcore for 8 fucking months, right? We know that I've probably spent like 15 fucking grand in the last 8 months, if not more, okay? Like seriously, between the jars, the food, okay? Like hardcore, okay? So anyway, this is the mandarin oranges that my neighbor gave me. Now, I'm having a real issue with my nails because I was peeling. So it hurts to touch everything. But besides that point, I still have a couple more bags. So I'm going to probably do this again, more than likely tomorrow. And I did a whole big pot, you've seen, right? Of the mandarin oranges rinds, and they're dehydrating, and they're good. We know where I got these pears from, right, people? Okay? They were fucking frozen in a box mixed up with a bunch of fucking garbage. Alright? Seriously, man. Nobody wanted them. They were completely frozen. Okay? Had snow on them. All mixed up with boxes that needed to go into the freaking compost pile or in the garbage can. I salvaged the box. Okay? Got a whole bunch of other vegetables that were basically frozen. I already did a freaking video on that one. Nobody wanted that stuff. Okay. We know that. This is what I'm going to work on now. Alright? I'm going to peel them. I got my jars now starting to get ready to sterilize. And these ones are getting done tonight. Okay? I went to the corner store. The Korean guy said, use a spoon when you do mandarin oranges like that. That's what the Koreans do. I said, oh, that's a really good idea. So, that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay? It's sore. I'm sticking my thumb inside of a olive vera leaf, right? Stem. Just to, because, you know I'm rough on my hands, people. It's like the good old days when I used to work with walnuts and husk them, right? Olive vera really helps to speed up the healing process. So, besides that point, support your local businesses when you can. So I paid $12 for this bag of rice. Now whether that's a good deal or not, I don't know. I just went in there and bought it. Alright, so this is a nice bag of rice that's going in for storage. Because I don't need it, but I wanted to support his business. And in light of what's going on, it's a good idea to have a little extra. Okay? Plus, I went and bought this bag of brown cane sugar. Right? Organic. Okay? See, non-GMO. Well, I don't know if it's organic, but it's non-GMO. And this was $12. So I did that. I didn't really need it. I'm pretty sure I have something like this in a bin. But that's okay. I needed it. I need white sugar. I got Tisha going on the hunt for white sugar. This is what I want to show you. 100% pure organic maple sugar. Do you see? 100% pure organic maple sugar. Do you know how much each bag costed, people? $118 per bag. Because it's real maple sugar. They only had 6 left on Amazon, and I bought 2 of them. In part because I like to give Amari, when I can, the better sugars, right? In terms of just sprinkling it on his food. And in a situation like this, with maple syrup, and now I have maple syrup in the house already, right? But you can make your own maple syrup with this. Easy peasy, right? Plus, you can make cookies or whatever and just sprinkle it on. Ooh, that would be so good. Okay, now, I'm going to put this on me for a minute, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm mad. In some ways, it's kind of good, though, because I've been wanting to put away my dehydrators now for the last couple of 2-3 weeks. I'm listening. If this camera wasn't on, this one would be on because I'm dehydrating still yogurt. Now, I just put in a yogurt in here that had been unopened. Okay, I'm going to finish this video. Unopened from August. I'm pretty sure it was August. I already did a couple of them. Like I said, all the containers that back in the day, you know, they used to, Pastor Granny, take. I put them in the fridge and it just sit, so some of them, right? So I went into Auntie Shemay's fridge and I cleared out stuff and I brought up all the yogurts and went through them now that I know I can dehydrate them. I never even thought about it in the past. 2 of them, I didn't like the taste, so they went out into the yard, right? Into the dirt for calcium. The rest of them are okay. And I just did one last night because Pastor Granny's daughter gave me a bunch of yogurt the other day, right? Because I said, I'd like to just top off, you know, a case of yogurt, dehydrated. It goes with my milk powder, my whole milk powder. I paid $200 just for, what was it, 22 pounds of milk powder. I bought it twice, people. That was just for the whole milk. And then I think the skim milk was another $167 per bag, times 2. Okay? I bought a lot of milk powder this year, people. Okay? So it's not like I'm going out of my way to be a taker here. This is what I'm trying to say. I've invested into my house. Okay? So, but, you know, I spent a lot of money on all this food prep, not including what I spent last year when there was more wheat, when you could actually buy corn. This year, I went out of my way, even though I've got a whole bunch of popcorn that I already bought through Organic Matters on several occasions, and I've got them in jars now. I went out of my way and I bought a 25-pound bag. I think it was for like $76 for the bag of organic popcorn, because there has been absolutely no corn kernels that I have been able to find in bulk this whole year, well, 2021. I could buy whole corn kernels dry in 2020, but I could not and have not found that same product in 2021. But I came across a video where there was a prepper who was saying, well, if you can't find the whole corn kernel dried, then at least buy some popping popcorn, because you can work with it in terms of grinding it up and making it into cornmeal and soaking it and softening it up, and, you know, right? Some corn, in other words, is better than no corn. And I'm like, that makes sense. And even though I've got from not this year, but the year before, I don't know how, probably a 25-pound bag or something like that. You know, I just wanted that little extra edge. So I bought that. That's coming. And when that comes, I'll show you. Okay? So it's not like I'm a fucking taker here, people. I've invested a lot into food security into my house. So when I go to Pastor Granny's house and I see pears tossed around in a box among other boxes, with some of those boxes that look like they belong in a fucking garbage bin, and nobody cares to care about them and they don't want them, then yeah, damn right I'm going to take it, because I've spent like $15,000 in the last bloody year because of what my government's been doing. And I'm going into debt for it too, people. That money could have paid off a fucking 2 credit cards. Right? But then, on the other hand, you know, something's going on. We all know this. It's clear to see. It's just a matter, like, truckers are going to be, lots of them are going to be going offline. Canadians are driving to Ottawa, going to meet at Ottawa and have a powwow out there and not leave the Parliament buildings until something fucking changes. Okay, who knows how long that's going to last for? I don't know, and if it's going to bring any change. right? Because it's going to take a little while for the government to bring in more immigrants in order to fill those slots, just like they did with the healthcare system. You know, fired all those qualified doctors and nurses just because they didn't want to bend over and have their asses kicked around town. And now they're going around to all these other countries, God knows what country, cutting fucking backroom deals and importing nurses and more doctors, as if that's going to help Canada people, especially when they're coming in as bigots and freaking criminals, like when it comes to illegal organ harvesting and that kind of crap. We're not even talking about that today, okay? So, you know, these truckers, you know, the government's already got it planned out. They don't care if the truckers don't go back to work, because all they have to do is put in their fucking order and bring in a bunch more immigrants to fill those slots. So in the meantime, whatever's going on in the grocery store is going to become less and less and less. Like, I'm kind of like going into a culture shock here, because I've been looking at videos on YouTube, video after video after video, that's going on about food shortage in the various different states in the United States of America, and including freaking Canada. And they all look the same, people. The shelves are starting to go bare. I'm hearing it from my neighbors. Literally, they tell me. I'm hearing it from my own kids. Literally, they tell me. I don't get out to go see it, but it's plain to see that something is wrong. Okay, so knowing what I've known and felt all these months, I've said, I do believe we're going to go into a wartime type scenario where for that, within that classism, right? Those below a certain level of classism, you know, it's going to be like a depression for us. And people will be standing in food lines with their ration cards or something like that, right? You know, it doesn't matter how much money you have, unless, of course, you're rich. Then you can buy your way through things. But if you're capped off at $100,000, that's it. That's what you get on your ration. You go pay for that, and that's all you get. Nothing more, nothing less. You know? The only thing I need is sugar, people. Not brown sugar. I just did that to support my Korean local business, because he's a nice guy. Every now and then, I like to be a big spender. Right? So I looked for the biggest thing I could buy that would benefit my family, and that was rice and brown sugar. Okay? So, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not a taker, people. Okay? Well, springtime comes, I'm not in the kitchen this year. I already said it. This year coming up is yard. And not only is it yard, but I'm going probably for cataract surgery. One eye first, second eye second. And I've been told to wear fucking sunglasses when I'm outside working in between all that crap. Oh, okay, as if I can see anything. But I'm going to have to do something, because it's getting pretty bleak in terms of what I can see. Clearly, that is, right? But it's still yard. It doesn't matter. I'm still doing it, people. And I've already told Andre, because he's going through a growing spurt, right? I said, Andre, you know, you're just getting bigger and bigger and, you know, getting stronger. And I think I'm going to hire you and your little friend to work in the yard this year. So, you know, I'm going to be paying Andre and his friend to do work that they're capable of doing, whatever that is. So I don't have to personally do it, right? They will plant potatoes for me. I'll pay them to plant the potatoes. It's just simple things like that. Right? Because I'm going blind, people. And I might be running around with a patch on and a pair of glasses working in the sun. I'm not going to be in the kitchen. Okay? I'm not. I'm already made the commitment to work in the yard. So there's only so much time that I can do this food stuff for. This is what I'm trying to say. And I squeezed in a little bit extra just because it was in the fucking snow. And nobody gave a rat's ass about it. All those cans that were frozen, you've seen them on my counter, people, mixed in with crud. I pulled them out of the crud, crawled under the tables and mucked around in the crud to get them out if they weren't in the damn box, because whoever got in there just tossed them around all over the place. And then I found more, and then I did it again. Okay? And then, the other day I was there, was going to the store with Andre, and they just happened to be outside, and that's when I got the little extra yogurt, because I'm doing old yogurt from August and September and November, so it would be nice to have a little bit of new yogurt in there. I'm not being particularly picky about it, because if I was, I wouldn't be dehydrating the one from freaking August or September or November. Okay? I'd be like, oh no, I'm too good for that. I'm doing it all, people. Okay, good or, right, right, to date, up to date, or, okay? Because it can be done. That's why. If I didn't think I could do it, I wouldn't do it. The secret is that they're unopened. And they're in a cool environment that's not being opened all the time. And that's why I was able to do it. Okay? I'm not being wasteful. I don't consider this to be a bloody game. It's not a fucking game for me. It's been grueling, okay? But I think of my grandkids. I think of my son. I think of my daughter and her children. I don't do it just for me. I do it for those around me. And I take it serious, okay? And I'm coming near to the end, because I said I'm spinning on this, and I'm going to spin off and go spin off in the yard here. Okay, so get to the point. All right, so I'm there, I'm looking, and I see these things again. Let me see. I see these things again. More of them. And I'm like, holy shit. I asked if I could have them, because if I don't take them, I'll come back in a week or two later and I'll find them scattered all over the place, all mixed up and gooey again, and I have to rinse them off and fucking let them all air dry, and right, because nobody will want them. I already been through that 2 fucking times, okay? So I asked if I could have them, and Roberta said, okay, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll bring them to you. I said, oh great, because this is good for Amari, okay? I'll learn to cook with it somehow, some way, right? More, right? Okay, the point is I'm asking for something, people. Even though initially nobody wanted this crap. Like, you can't imagine where I fucking found them and in what, okay? And I'm not complaining, I'm grateful. Same thing with those jars that could have easily frozen and cracked when they were frozen. Okay, I wasn't taking anything that nobody wanted. For the most part, right? Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was the one fucking time. A few times they come to the door, they knocking, and I go and I grab a few vegetables, and what have I been doing? I've been dehydrating. All that freaking cabbage, that little thin crap, right? It was sitting in bags and boxes, freaking snow on them and rain, and just sitting there doing nothing for days and days and days. And I'm like, what the hell? But because I took the whole box, it makes me look like I'm fucking greedy. That's what it is, people. Right? Because I do in bulk. Because it's not a game for me. I don't take bread, quote unquote, to do breadcrumbs. And there's going to come a day when, I just don't need it. Like my neighbor that gave me those mandarin oranges and those apples offered me bread. And I said, I don't need it. I'm okay. I don't need bread, man. I'm good. Right? Same thing with this yogurt. Once I get to the point where I'm satisfied that I have my case, whatever that case, whether it's half pint size or whether it's pint size jars or a couple of quart size or whatever it is, once I get to the point where I'm like satisfied that I have the yogurt, I don't want, unless we're eating. I give to Amari all the time, right? Because I've always got that monkey on my back. Right, just, never can measure up to people's expectations, eh? Always under pressure, under a microscope, all the time. Okay, so whatever, right? So I'm like, it's not like, and everything that I taken, no matter where it came, like in terms of in the snow, or in a box, like the potatoes, for example, 95% people I process. There's 5% that maybe just doesn't make it because it's old food. It's food that's at the end of its shelf life in the store. That's why it's being donated. That's why I like to see a functioning kitchen for the ones that do this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, people, like, seriously, man, I got insulted today. I swear I got insulted today. And it's kind of a good thing, though, because now I can just put everything fucking away and start focusing on other shit. Because I went to the store to get some smokes and to go specifically to support the Korean business. I knew before I even left the house what I was going to buy because I've been eyeballing those bags for a while now. And I know he likes me to go in there and spend money. He calls me the big spender. Right? And I just haven't been even going to the corner store, people. I've been living in my kitchen, working with food that nobody wants, basically. Or old food, in terms of the yogurt. Right? And then some new yogurt. But I didn't know that it was going to make me look like I was being selfish. In terms of, we were coming back, everybody was outside, this huge ass fucking truck out there, box after box after box, but of course they distribute it to other people, so I guess it makes it okay, right? No questions asked, right? And, just the whole vibe, people, just the whole fucking vibe. Because I said, right? Like, that's for the church. And she quickly closes and she says, I said, well, what about that? Can I look since I'm here, right? I'm looking for those old vegetables that nobody fucking wants. Just because I'm here right now, it's going to end very soon. I only got a small window of time to do this, to finish up. And since I'm doing it, throwing in a little bit of this or a little extra of that as I'm winding down only makes sense. But you see, I can simply go, I've already talked to my son about this, and I've already talked to Tisha about this. I said, when you're out and about, I got Tisha shopping for 5 bags of 10 pounds of sugar, people. Okay? All right? I'll be buying some butter, and if not, I'll be buying whipped cream, and I'll be making my own damn butter, which will probably be cheaper than buying it in a freaking, or at least the same amount. I don't know. I just know that I asked my kids to shop around for sweet potatoes, and when they find them at a reasonable price, guess what? I'll be spending anywhere between $50 to $100 for them, have them fucking brought home, and I will process them, right? But if they're sitting outside in a box, or a box happens to be there, right? Then I would be grateful for that box. And I'd process that box. And I've done it. And I want to do it again. Whether I pay for it, or whether it's given to me. But, I don't know, people. I don't know. When people start giving you things, I don't know. Right? I just know that I was insulted today. Because this, what I do, is not a fucking game. Alright? And it hasn't been easy. Right? And in light of how much I actually spent just to be able to bring in that food security, okay? I think a few breaks here and there was great. But not if it's going to be guilt-tripping me, right? In terms of, I already gave to you 2 days ago. Yeah, you did. You did. So, with that said, I'm good. I'm good. I got my maple sugar. And I will get my white sugar because I live in a yard that produces fruit. And I like to process that fruit from time to time. And if I find it for free, even if it's frozen, I'm not a fucking idiot and just going to walk away from it and pretend that it's worthless. But I'm sure in the hell not going to be held hostage to it, people. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to be fucking held hostage to it. I offered to help clean, do boxes, write up a proposal to get people to contribute for gas and all this other shit. It's not like I was just thinking to take. I said, let me give you money for gas. I will give you money for gas. Because I know what it's like to work on a foundation and nobody gives you shit. Okay? It gives you shit back. They're just coming, taking all the fucking time taking. Right? Yeah, okay. I know exactly what it fucking feels like. But as it is right now, I don't know, people. My life is a big waste of time. Big fucking waste of time. Serious. So I'm ending this video. Okay, I didn't really tell you exactly how I kind of felt, because it's just, I need to focus my energy on these things. Right? My fingers are starting to feel a little better. It was the aloe vera plant, the gel. Okay, I can actually touch things now. Before I couldn't touch anything because my, peeling these oranges. I'm so tired. I can't wait until this is over. So they did me a favor. I'm free. I'm free. Soon I'll be free. Free, people, free. Free to get on and get in the yard and put in the big pond.